In today's watercolor lesson, we're going to paint a small shed. Then there's going to be a few trees and mountains behind it, a big tree to one side of it. Well, not big, medium size, actually quite small. There you go. And then we're going to have this big field here. And I'm going to do the actual photo, which you can see here, is during the middle of the day, but I'm going to turn this into an evening scene. But you do whatever kind of time of the day painting you'd like to do. So if you want to copy the photo, be my guest. So we don't have to do much drawing for this, but an important point is keep that shed small. I found that when I did a big version, it wasn't so good. But even before we do that, where is our horizon line going to go? So in my previous painting, I did the horizon line very low. But in this one, I'm going to do it above the middle of the paper, so much higher. It might work, it might not, I'm not sure. But I think it's good to experiment. So I'm going to do it there. Then my cabin, I want off to one side. I think that'll look more aesthetically pleasing. And then here we go with the shed. That might be a bit on the big side, to be honest. So in some ways, erasing is not good because you spoil the paper, but especially if you're a beginner. I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm here erasing my stuff. But anyway, I think erasing can be good though, because it's the habit of evaluating what you've done and then being willing to change it and not just staying with it. Does that make sense? So it's a real good skill to look at what you're doing, and then if you think it's wrong, don't just carry on like a headless chicken and just continue, but instead stop, and if you can, recorrect. Anyway, let's continue. So I'm going to make this a little smaller, and I think that's better. I must admit, even I don't like to erase and redraw, but it's a good thing to do, I think. And then we've got our big tree here. And then we've got something over here. And we've got something over here. Yeah, I'm going to change this a lot. What you've got here are terraced rice fields. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do like a flat area. And I'm going to have a strong feeling of perspective by having small trees here. And then they get bigger and bigger. I think that will look much more interesting. There we go, like that. And then mountains here, sky there. And then we've got some fields here. Also the bottom area here. We have to be careful with that. So I find it's good to have these little dips in the ground like that. And then just a few marks here to indicate where you've got dark areas of grass. It's actually a bit different to this, so I'm changing it quite a bit. In the actual photo, it's not covered in grass. There's a big patch here, and in some ways that's quite interesting, but I'm just going to pretend that it's a field full of straw or long grass, something like that. So now my 3 brushes, I've got a flat brush. This is about, I don't know, 4 centimeters maybe, so 1.5 inches maybe. And then I've got this pointed oval brush, which is about 1 centimetre, so what's that, ½ an inch, I don't know. And then I've got a liner brush. So it doesn't have to be exactly the same size, just roughly in the same area. And we'll begin with, not this brush, the flat brush, which can cover a lot of space in a short time. So we're going to do evening scene, and I think I'm going to do shadows actually. So in this one, there's no sun. So I'm going to do one with sun, maybe about here. So I begin with yellow ochre, lots of water, and then about here. Carefully go around like that. Oh, maybe that'll do. And then I'm just going to cover the bottom area with yellow. Then I'm going to get a touch of red. This is alizarin crimson, pure red. Dab it on my rag because it's a bit too strong. And then blend in like that. And maybe one more time. Ooh. Using the wrong red there. And I might have it sweeping up like that. See what that looks like. And then at the top, so I wash out my brush thoroughly. And then I'm going to get some of this cerulean blue, and I'm going to do the top bit. Now this is not so good because yellow ochre and blue, it will be fairly okay, but if it's, how can I put it? If it mixes, it's not going to be quite such a beautiful blue. It's going to go slightly greenish, and I don't want that too much. So I wiped it off with a tissue. And then here we go, some blue. And I'm just thickening it up at the top. Okay. And then finish with this brush. It's time for the clouds. So get my pointed oval. And I'm going to get some of this cerulean blue, a touch of alizarin crimson. And this is quite a nice bluey cloud colour. Maybe it's still too wet, and maybe that's a little bit too, I don't know, I'm not sure I like it. Let's try even bluer. Yeah, okay, let's add a touch of yellow ochre, and it will grey it off a little. Yeah, I prefer that. So it's a lot of fun mixing your colours. And really I should have just done one cloud just to make this really simple for you. Sorry, I've done two. But anyway, can't change that now. But what I will do is, we've got two clouds roughly coming down in the same direction. Then I'm going to do just little touches like this, almost like coming off the cloud, like that, just a little. And it looks quite nice, but you don't want them to be the same size. So there we go. And then at the bottom, I'm going to have a distant mountain. So same colours basically. So Cereulean blue, alizarin crimson, a touch of yellow ochre. Ooh, too much. Add some blue. This has got a lot of red in it. So I need to cool it down. Okay, that's better. Now let's do this mountain. It's drying over here, so, but don't need to worry about that maybe because these trees will cover the mountain over there. So, here we go. And I want to leave that roof area. So timing is very important here because we're doing wet in wet, and also how wet the paper is and how wet the mixture is on your brush. So you always want the mixture on your brush to not be as wet as the paper, otherwise it will explode and give you ugly lines. And I might join that cloud and mountain together there. Good idea, bad idea, don't know. But I really like experimenting. And then let's do this bit at the bottom. And there we go. And then let's leave that to dry. But it's looking nice. It's got beautiful, what can I say? The colours are beautiful. They're very bright and yeah, pleasant to look at. Let's leave it to dry. Now it has dried, so I'm going to do the grass, and yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is at the top I'm going to do a yellow coloured grass, and then I'm going to have it become more of a green colour, and then at the bottom dark green. I'm really happy with the sky because one of the problems with watercolour is sometimes after the paint has dried, it becomes fainter and you lose the intensity of the colour. And I don't think that has happened so much here. So something I'm happy about. Okay, so how am I going to do this? This yellow ochre is too watery. So get some yellow ochre. Oh, there's a bit of red there. And I'm going to add a touch of cerulean blue. In fact, start again. Okay. I didn't like that red being in there. Not yet. So I just used the corner of the brush to get some paint, and that gives me a bit more control over how much I take rather than just doing that. It also doesn't make the whole thing dirty. Okay, let's try that. That's okay. So I've got quite a hard dry edge here, and that's really not so great, to be honest. I probably should have softened it with water, but there you go. I can still soften it soften it a bit now, but only a bit. I can hide it later, I think, when I do the background scenery. Okay, that's pretty good. Now let's increase this. More blue, more yellow ochre. I like it. More yellow ochre, more cerulean blue, even more, and maybe more. It's a lot of paint, but there you go. And now I'm going to make it much darker. I'm going to use this phthalo blue. Whoa! What did I say about using the corner of the brush? Well, didn't work there. Let's go down here. There's too much blue there. Get rid of some of it. Get some yellow ochre. There we go. It's very thick, so I'm going to add some water. That green is too green. It needs greying off with a touch of red. A bit more yellow ochre. A bit more red. Okay, now I'm going to start at the bottom because this is so dark, and then I'm going to work up. But dark is good. Even black is good at the bottom, and then blend it in. Yeah, I quite like that. And at the bottom I am going to go really dark, so oh my goodness, too much blue. And then some red. More red. And that's very thick, but it's very wet paint and it blends in quite nicely. So we've got a real beautiful gradation. Is that how you say it? Gradation, maybe. I'm happy with that. It looks nice. Then I'm cleaning out this brush. Getting this brush. I can use this mixture, but maybe even thicker. And add some of this. That's too much. So it's like begin again with the blue. That's too much. Bit of red. Okay, maybe that will do. And some yellow ochre. Dab it there. And I want like, yeah, I've done this wrong. I should have a lighter dark up here. So I should do that soon. But let's just begin here in the middle area. So I do like 1, 2, 3 patches. I do them a different length, and also the depth has to be varied and not too deep. Not in the middle distance anyway. And yeah, an odd blob like that is going to be good. It will look maybe more natural, I hope. We will see. And then get my liner brush and get yellow ochre, a touch of this mess, and it really feels like cooking. And then we're going to do a line. So it's a line and then a few dashes. that. And then that will do. I might just spray. So spray horizontally. Because if you spray directly, you'll shift the paint. And then we're coming back down here. And now I'm going to do one here, maybe one here, and then maybe a little one here. So different lengths, and also vary the depth. And then little dashes here and there. I'm going to make this one really, I've joined them, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Then I'm going to get my liner brush again, and then pure water. Very important point. You get water along this part. You don't want that. So make sure you get rid of that, because it will drop onto the paper and cause a big splodge. Okay, go along the top like that. A few splodges sometimes is quite nice. And then along the top here, I'm doing this fairly lightly. And then, oh, careful with splashes. Let's see if I can do some lines. Now the lines need to be different lengths as well. And not equally spaced, because it doesn't look natural. For some reason, I'm not seeing, a little bit now, clear marks coming through. That's beginning to look quite nice. I'm scrubbing some of the marks out because I don't like them. And maybe that will do. So the thing that's not very good here is it looks like a wall of darkness. So in a way that's not so good, and perhaps it goes too deep. So I have mixed feelings about this bit. This is good, but this maybe too much. I guess I can get some yellow, touch of blue, and this is not going to work so well, but maybe bring back a little bit of colour in here. And do some here as well. Like that. And then just, I think that will do, and then just leave that to dry. Now this has dried, and I'm going to do this middle distance. So these trees and maybe bushes and this shed, and I'm going to do it all in one go. So I think I'll begin here with these tall pointed trees, and I'll use a dark green for them. So I'll begin with some yellow ochre down here where I've got a lot of blue, then add a touch of red, and then here we go. So this brush is quite good for making this particular shape. This oval brush, and then maybe there's one here. So I'm trying to get that feeling on the outside of a rough edge. It's a bit tricky. It's a bit of a dry brush. Well, it is a dry brush effect. Okay, that'll do. That wasn't quite balanced. Okay, then I'm going to do these other trees. So some of this yellow ochre, touch of this cerulean blue, and then twirl my brush like this, and then hopefully I'm going to get a nice edge that looks like a tree line edge. I think that will do. But I've lost a little bit of my roof. There you go. And I might just spray it, keep it wet, and then I'll use this darker mix for the bottom. And I'm glad I could get a bit of a dry brush effect here. So there we go, like that. And then this I want to be a warm brown colour, so I'll use some red, some yellow ochre. There's a bit of green in it, but that's okay. A bit more red, then make it darker with this. That'll do. And then maybe add some other colours just to make it more interesting. Wow, what happened? I'm not sure what to do now. I lost a lot of my roof. So that was a mistake. What I'll do is wipe it out and try again. And again, needs to be longer. Let's spray it to keep it wet and workable. So about there. The perspective is a bit strong. Okay, and then add some more brown here, and then at the bottom twist this around and hopefully we can get a rough edge at the bottom. Yeah, thank goodness it worked. Still need that roof line to be lower. Goodness me. Nope. It's too short still, I think. Just a minute. Yep. Goodness me. This is the first time this has happened. I've done this painting quite a few times now, but there you go. So it needs to be about there. Well, that was a pain, and I'll have to use some opaque paint in order to finish that off. Hopefully we can do a good job of it, hopefully. And then let's do this bit behind. So got something here. So I need a grey, greeny mix here, and maybe going up here a bit. Okay. And then lower down, I can blend this in, I think. Okay, and I hopefully can get rid of the hard edge down here now. Okay, and then we need to make this get maybe a little bit fainter. So I'm just doing a line, maybe do it a little bit lower to get rid of that hard line underneath. And then let's do some little bumps and ridges here. And you have to do this fairly soon, because if you leave this line, it will dry out pretty quickly and then it's going to stay there. You don't really want that. So there we go. I think it works. We might have a few pointy things. One there, maybe one here. Not too regular, hopefully. So I think that's good. And if I can get a bit of dry brush here at the bottom, that'll be really good. Okay, there we go. And then let's leave that to dry now. I'm quite happy with that edge. I think that looks quite good. Okay, leave it to dry. Now I'm going to do a tree here. So because I don't want to do just simply thick paint over the top in order to cover this, and because this is a dark background, even then it's not maybe going to look so good, what I'm going to do is remove some of this paint, erase it a little. So I get this oval brush and simply just wet this area, especially this line bit here, because that might come through and I don't want that to happen. And then get some tissue and do that. It's actually quite a nice effect, and I think you could use this technique for various things like mist and texture on buildings, and yeah, I think there's great potential here, even for smoke. So something like that. And that line now is much softer. It's still there, but there's more chance now to hide it, so it won't come through on what we paint over the top. Okay, and it's roughly a roundish kind of shape. So here we go. I want something really, a strong yellowy green colour. So I'm going to use this yellow, and maybe here I can take advantage of this blue. Now that green is just too vivid, isn't it? It's like a crayon colour. It's too much, and we need to subdue it. And we can do that, I think, by adding just any of this dirt around here. And maybe this, because it's got a bit of red in it. And that'll grey it off just a touch. Add a little bit more yellow. Ooh, too much. And then twist my brush, and then the sunlight is coming from over there. So this side, well, this side and this side is going to be light. So I want gaps here. And I don't want to go into this dark area too much. Now you do have the problem of little white bits showing, but I'm okay with that. And then the shadowy area, let's just get some of this dark paint. Add a bit of red to that. Then twist the brush, and then this ideally needs to be more intense than the background colour. I'm not sure if it is. And we don't want too much of this white. A little bit is okay, but not too much. It's okay, but not great. Then that comes down here. Like that. Not brilliant, but maybe passable. Yeah, let's get some of this green and just try to do a bit here. And a bit here, a little bit here. Okay, fudging, which is an essential part of watercolour painting, maybe everything. And then here we go with the trunk. Okay, and then a little bit of a shadow. So I want more of a blue, cerulean blue, and a touch of this red. That'll do. Slightly purplish colour. And then the sun's there, so we've got maybe just a little bit of a shadow. Yeah, I think that's okay. And then go a bit dark in here. I want to bring it away from this background. So I need to go in darker. Yeah, not too bad. Not too great. But you do your best. And move on. Yeah. The tree in the photo is a bit different. But I think that's passable. Okay, and then I'm going to have a figure here. So really I should kind of draw him, just a basic guide. So his head's going to be lower than this roof line, bottom roof line. So maybe about here is the top. Then I want him to be quite big, so he comes down to about here. And then we've got a head here, shoulders here, an arm here. That's holding a bucket because that's interesting. And then legs here, and then another arm here. And he's sinking into this grass. So hopefully that looks okay. So what I do first of all is just get this dark colour, add some red because it's a bit green. That's way too much red. So some blue, that's way too much blue. Oh, I might get away with it. And then here we go. Head. That basic shape. Then shoulders. I'm kind of missed the drawing. I'm kind of painting in a different area from where I did my guidelines, but there you go. Okay, an arm coming down here. Hopefully it's tapering. Looks like he's got a pullover. And he's big, much bigger than I wanted. Okay. Erase. I'm not sure I can erase much of this, but have a go. Okay. Get the body bit right. Then hopefully get this head right this time, not so big. Goodness me, it was huge. And once again, I've done it again, a big head, but hopefully not quite as big as before. And hopefully we'll get some dry brush by wiping on the rag. Yep, bit too dry. Try again. Okay, and then we've got a hand here. Just do a kind of a block and another kind of block here. His coat here. Yeah, so then the bucket. It's at an angle, so it's got a feeling of motion. And then let's add some colour. So I'm going to use Cereulean blue for his top. And a bit more. And then blend that in. And then use my thumb like that. I'm not sure what colour to do for the can. Maybe a red. No, red seems a bit too much, doesn't it? Maybe that will be okay. And I think I need to redo that blue. Maybe it wasn't a good idea wiping it away. And yeah, I think that will do. Maybe there's some kind of shadow a little bit. So we've got this grey still, and then sun's there, just a little bit of a shadow. Like that. And maybe just a few tiny marks around the figure, which you don't actually get, but it just makes the figure more grounded looking. Yep. Then let's leave all of that to dry. And I think maybe a little bit of fading here might be good. Maybe it's okay. So let's leave it to dry. So it hasn't fully dried, but I think the areas I want to do have. So first of all, I'll begin up here, and like I said, I'm going to use white paint for that roof, because to get rid of this, I could maybe with a brush erase some of this, but it looks like it's stained it. So the only way I'm going to solve this staining thing is by going opaque and using some white paint. I can soften this and fade it more, does help. But I think only so much, not completely. If it was just this colour, that'd be good actually. So if I hadn't messed up the roof, then I would have been okay. But I think this is life, right? Mistakes happen a lot. Doing my life. So it is actually disappearing, and maybe if I did this for another, what do you think, 12 hours, I might eventually get rid of it. So let's go over it now. I need some space on the palette, so wet that area. Tissue, then get some white paint. Touch of yellow ochre, bit more. Touch of this alizarin crimson. And then even a touch of blue. I'll use this. This has got blue in it. Bit more. Bit more. Let's try that. I'm not sure. Oh, look at that. Wonderful. I made it dirty. Okay. Well, it's going to become grey anyway. Sadly, that grey or purple and this grey look very similar. That could be a problem. I think it's okay. Yeah, I think that will do. Get my liner brush, and then notice how I use my rag a lot so that the brush is not wet, because you want this to be a fairly thick mix here. So if it's watery, it's not going to work. So wipe your brush first and then put it in your mix, wipe it again, and we'll keep that mixture nice and thick so that it can hide all that grey stuff underneath, that stain. Okay, I think that's okay. Maybe it needs something a bit more interesting added to it. I'm not sure. Have a think about that. So then on this figure, let's do maybe highlights. So get some white. Just pure white, hopefully. And do the top of this man's head. And the shoulders. And you don't have to do everything, just a few touches and it's good. And then maybe a little bit of skin colour, so need some space. Get some white, get some yellow ochre, a bit of red, a bit more yellow ochre, and maybe that will do. So just a line going down, and then here line around the back, and then this is his ear. and then like that. So maybe I'm showing a bit too much face. Oh, maybe that's okay. And then a little bit on the hands. They need a dark bit as well though, so maybe that's okay. Yeah, maybe that will do. That hand looks too small, looks a bit silly, so let's make it bigger. And just have to think about this. Yeah, this back bit is going to have a shadow there like that. Keep it simple blocky shapes. Okay, there we go. So I think that might be everything. Yeah, one more thing. I could do a few birds in the sky, maybe to cover up these little marks here. So like that. And then one more here. And then over here one more. And then over here, hopefully try and make this tiny. One more. Okay, there we go. And I think that's about it. I'm just going to stand up, squint, and see how it looks overall. And I think it's pretty good. There's this kind of mark here, but I could try and get rid of that, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. Okay, let's have a go. Here goes. Could be a really bad idea. Clean this brush. And should take a photograph just in case, right? I might wet this as well. And then I might just, yeah, I should clean it first, wipe it, and then just dab it on some tissue, and then see if I can soften the whole area and blend that in. Like that. Maybe that's done it, I'm not sure. And get some tissue and then do this with the edge, because if you've got water, a little bit of water here, it can do horrible things. If you've got a little, I don't know, puddle of water, sometimes it ends up blowing up, expanding and leaving some ugly marks. So just dry the edge, and this edge is done. So there we go. So I'm quite happy with this painting, and let's do a review. So overall, yeah, happy with the painting. Now let's go through each individual part. So beginning with the sky, I think the sky for me is the best part of the painting. The colours are vibrant, maybe slightly too vibrant, and the clouds are lovely and soft, and I think that's good. Maybe the mountain is kind of lost. You're thinking, is that a mountain or a cloud? So yeah, but I'm still happy with it. So I like that, and I like the birds. So the grass, I'm quite happy with the grass. I think this part is really good, and this part, it's okay, but I went a bit too crazy with the dark down here, and I need to remember that and keep some of it light green. So, but I still think it's good. And then this middle part, I'm pretty happy with that. There's some interesting textures here, which I think I like. That one maybe is a bit too big, but these look really nice. And I think overall, happy with that. If I had more courage, maybe I should try and soften that a bit, but I don't think it's essential. It still works. So I think I'll leave it. And this is okay, and the roof, I think finally is passable. In fact, quite good. I'm wondering if this needs a few details, but I'm not going to add any because I think it would just somehow spoil it. But I do wonder about that, if that needs one or two details, maybe like a window or something. But I'm going to leave it. The tree it's a bit too cute, I think, but there we go. It's still acceptable as a tree, and I think the light and the dark areas work well. We've got this light area here, and we've got this dark area, sorry, at the bottom, L-shaped dark area. So that works well, and this is okay too. Maybe I should soften that a bit. So I'll do that now. So the thing is, when you do your review, don't just think about what's wrong. If you can, maybe try and correct it if you can. Maybe that's too faint, but I think it's better. And so that's that. And the final thing is the figure. And I think the figure is okay. Probably the figure's shadow is maybe passable. His legs are great, but overall I think the figure is a little bit static. If it could be a bit more dynamic, that would be better. So that's probably a problem with my brushwork skills. There needs to be a bit more dry brush or something happening here. But overall, I'm happy with the figure. And that's it really. So always do a review, and it really helps you to clarify what you're doing well and maybe why, and what you're not doing well and possibly why, bit by bit. So that's all. Please have a go, and most important of all, enjoy yourself and experiment. Bye for now. Happy painting.